as well. And there we go there. And I think we're live within Title Nerds. So I am going to, I think, kick it off, and I'm going to share my screen here. And I would encourage you guys, we're going to have a lot of takeaways here, right? So we have a lot of white papers, a lot of takeaways, a lot of templates to give you guys as a result of this. So please comment below within the Title Nerds, like it, heart it, whatever, so that we know you were here, and we'll use that information. If you comment below with an email, that'd probably be easiest to get you all of these takeaways. We'll also probably throw them up in the group, but I like the idea of getting them out to you individually. So these are the top 5 activities every title sales rep should be focused on in 2022. I'm so excited to be joined by Allie Flath, who is absolute rock star title salesperson. So she was most recently one of you, right? She was walking your shoes. It's been a few years for me, but she is far more attuned to that and the tasks that are necessary right now in a shifting market to make sure you grow your business as you would like to. So I'm excited to get kicked off, Allie. Thanks for being here and for letting me be a part of it.
Man, I think it's a team effort, that's for sure. And I'm so excited to be here and share with you guys. It's just exciting.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Yeah, this is your first live event within Title Nerds, right?
It is. I am super. It's so crazy because I have such a history with WFG, and now I'm on the MTD side, and I was on the direct side before. And I'm just super thankful to be able to share what I learned in the 10 years I was in the real estate market in Arizona. So awesome. Just super thankful to be here and to meet all you guys for the first time and see your face. But bear with me, I might be a little bit nervous, even though I can't see you.
So let's get started. I'm a nerd. I love quotes. I found this quote. I thought it was very apropos for where we are right now in the industry. And I think, with the shifting market or normalizing or down or whatever it is that you want to call it, so many people start to think like, how long is this going to last? Is it going to be a few months? Is it going to be a few years? And I love this quote: don't watch the clock, do what it does, keep going. It's not about how long this is going to last. It's not about how bad or good it might get. I think it's about finding ways to work together, communicate, collaborate, coexist, right, in a way that keeps us moving forward. So I love that quote by Sam Levinson, and I wanted to kick us off with that. And with that, we will start with the number 1 of the 5 activities that title sales reps should be doing in 2022. You want to kick us off, Allie?
I will. Hey guys, I want to talk about skill development. And I'll make a note that when I was in the field, this was the biggest thing that I focused on when the market changed. And we had a few market changes as I was in the field. But I think you really need to look at who you are, and what do you do well? Are you a driver? Are you a mentor? Are you the bringer of new ideas and information? Are you a data source? I think once you figure out what you do well, you can double down on that actual skill and really create waves with your clients. The other question that I always ask myself in new opportunities or in changing market was, how was I different? What was I doing every single day to either learn a new skill, to be different? I evaluate what other reps were doing around me, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And I'll be honest, I was one of the few reps in Arizona that was doing video, and I was doing reels, and I was doing short form content. And I know that can be overwhelming and a lot, but there are so many resources out there to teach you guys how to do those things. There's free courses, there's social media coaches, there's 30-day free LinkedIn learning assessments that you can take. And I actually have a takeaway for that I will bring to you guys afterwards. And the other thing is really, how are you going into your clients' day-to-day and really reducing the amount of time they're putting in, or helping them save money? How can you take things off of their plate? How can you leverage other people's resources? How can you leverage other people's time? And that's where one of our resources, our WFG block system, comes into play, whether it be title and settlement solutions, expense management help, or even leveraging your MTDs, right, Sam? 100%. Leveraging your MTD is such a big deal. If you feel like you're not sure what to do, get yourself out of the way and leverage somebody else that has an expertise in that area. The other thing was, what was my philosophy? Was what I was putting out to my clients, to the world, who I actually was. Was my philosophy? Was I a teacher? Was I a beacon of optimism? I'll tell you right now, if you go to my socials, I'm definitely more funny and lighthearted, but I also include a message in those funny times. So that was important to me, to be who I was online and in person and through text messages, but also share valuable content to those people all the time. And then do my messages align with those content. So just make it fun, do what you enjoy. If you want to gamify things, gamify it. Whatever it takes to get you to do those activities more and more. Let's work on it. And if you have any questions, or if you don't know what to do, call us. We'll tell you what you're good at.
Absolutely. And I love too, when the market shifts a little bit and I was focusing on trying to double down on creating some new skills for myself, there's a couple sites like Stack Skills that'll have social media bootcamp training that will show you step by step how to become an absolute ninja when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn ads. So find those sources of continuing to educate yourself, and then let that be your thing. And then you can go teach that thing. So skill development kind of never stops, but now more than ever, I think it's super important.
Never. And I think Google has Google Fundamentals and Meta has Blueprint. And both of those are all ad platform. They're teaching you how to do that. Right. And they want you to spend money. But what if you guys went in with your clients and said, here, let me teach you how to run an actual effective ad in these spaces. And I will tell you this, for anybody who's afraid of TikTok, you actually don't even have to have an account to run ads on TikTok. How cool is that? And TikTok advertising is killing it right now.
I love it. And you had mentioned LinkedIn Learning to me before, right? So that's something you've had some experience with. Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
I have. I mean, so I did the 30, 60-day trial, and I did it right as COVID hit. Because I was like, let's learn a new skill and whatnot. So I did digital marketing strategies. I think I did an SEO course, and then design, like a digital design course. And for me, it was things that I obviously cared about, but also things that I knew that people in my field were looking for a beacon of information from. I knew I could repurpose that skill to my clients. So I think they do a 30, 60-day free course. But the cool thing is there's so many other platforms. There's Allison.com, edx.org, Coursera.org. There's so many. Actually, what is it? Harvard puts out 800 free courses, and some of them are in the business sector. So you could go there too. But I have a list of everywhere you can access that we'll send as a takeaway at the end.
Awesome. I love stuff like that. There's so many sources now. For those of you that are watching, drop in the comments if there's some place that you like to go when you're learning a new skill, when you're trying to really hone in on a certain skill online. Please drop it in the comments. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think on top of that, a lot of what I've learned as far as from social media, I didn't even have to pay for it. I just follow social media coaches and find ones that I relate well with, and then I take it and I try it, and then I run with it. That's it. It's free.
So number 2 activity that we think every title salesperson should be doing right now in 2022. And this actually came from somebody who was in your neck of the woods. I interviewed Sarah Richardson, founder and president of True Realty, big speaker at Inman, Housing Wire, all that stuff. And I asked her what one of the most valuable things that a title partner could bring to her brokerage was. And she just kept saying education. Education. Are you bringing me the latest and greatest? Are you teaching my agents how to succeed? And by the way, one thing that stuck out to me that she said, are you investing in my agents who aren't top producers yet? Maybe they're relatively new and they haven't quite gotten there. Do you care about them? Because if you care about them, then the rest of it follows. So I think that's one of those things, we try to find the ones that are producing a lot right now and we go there. The brokers are wanting help with those who aren't quite there yet. So just something to keep in mind. I, in my former company in West Texas and Southern New Mexico, wanted to become known as the place for education, not just for CE though, right? We did a lot of CE, I got certified, did all that stuff. And I would always say, hey, you can get all of the CE you're going to need every 2 years right from us. But it wasn't just that. Agents, we think, are looking for just continuing education. They're looking for ways to sustain and grow their business in a shifting market. So don't just focus on CE. And I really wanted to become kind of the person that helped with skill development, right? So we took those things that we just talked about. I would become an expert on Facebook ads. Started kind of messing around with LinkedIn ads when it first became a little less complicated, a little more user-friendly. Started becoming kind of the go-to for that. One of the things that I would say is, as a title agent, you're always thinking, okay, where am I going to host these things? How much is it going to cost for me to do that? Can people come from all parts of town to that area, whatever it might be? So I created my own space. We had a space in the back of the office that was used to house files. It was our cards, like for, the examiners would go back there and pull cards. It was, a 16-foot ceiling with it looked like the Dewey Decimal System from the library in 1986. Like that's what it looked like. And I was like, hey guys, what if we move this offsite, but very close, and turn this into our own space? So we created the vault at Lone Star Title, threw a projector up, a nice screen, some countertops in the back with a couple beverage coolers. We now had our own space, which, by the way, we leveraged as using for community groups and for charitable organizations could have their board meetings there. It just got people in our office, which is what you want, right? You do business where you feel comfortable, where you hang out, you feel comfortable, right? And so, but we would have these classes, and it was really cool because we had our own space. I didn't worry about how much it cost. Knowing how much it costs to like rent spaces and restaurants and stuff, it paid for itself like really quickly. And then it became something where, people would ask, do you really want to invite all the real estate agents, like their competitors and all this stuff? These competitors were creating relationships with one another in our building and then doing deals. And where did those deals go? They went to us, right? Like that's where their friendship began. And it was really kind of cool to watch those relationships blossom because, every market has a few of those agents that people kind of talk about. Sometimes they're top producers and they're like, that person's really difficult, or man, that person's so short, or whatever. And then they would meet and they'd be like, they're not difficult at all. And they'd love to have conversation. They weren't short with me. Yep. And so all of a sudden it became a place where relationships were built. So it wasn't just about education at that point. That space really became kind of a communal space where people could get together. Totally. If you can find that space in your building, especially moving into a market like this where we don't want to be spending thousands of dollars to host places, definitely recommend it. And I have
totally.
Go ahead.
That's why panels I think are such a great opportunity in client education too. This is such a great place to do, like when COVID hit, we did so many panels, luxury panels, changing market, people that specialize in everything, because people want to know what the big dogs are doing. Big dogs have a tendency to be able to change quicker because they have a little bit more money, but they also love I would say the most successful agents in our market in Arizona were the ones that shared out the information that they had. And not everybody's going to run with that, and that's okay. But, they were sharers, and that's also what got them to where they were.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is we think that they're not going to want to share. People love to impart knowledge, right? Like it gives you this sense of like self-worth and sense of authority. And so when you ask these top producers that are total rock stars, you would think they would say no. They always said yes to me. I think I probably only had one or two times where someone said no and politely kind of declined. Other than that, they were excited to be there, and it gave all the other agents a chance to be able to pick their brain a little bit in kind of a safe space, right, where it wasn't about competition. So, totally. The takeaways that I have here, one, I have my class list as an example. And what I always tell all you guys is use our class list as your own. Why? Because you have an MTD to leverage. If you don't feel comfortable doing these types of education, or maybe you don't have somebody on staff that can, that's what your MTDs are here for, in part, is to be able to provide that education on your behalf. It's not about us. It's not about West or WFG. It's about you and your company. And so please leverage your MTD, reach out to your sales rep and have them connect you. We can help you with that. And create a calendar, right? Create a calendar of education for your clients and stick to it. It's pretty impressive as a real estate agent when I get an email of the next 6 months of education from a title company. It shows they're investing long-term in my business. I like that. And then, obviously there's a whole other, we actually have a checklist, an events checklist that we could share with you guys too, to show kind of how to promote things out and how to maximize your attendance. But absolutely leverage us as your MTDs. We have a great group of 6 of us. Welcome to the team. Holly just started like 2 days ago. I see you're on this call. So we have
welcome all.
Yeah. So we have a great team of 6 of us all over the country, and whether we're in person or virtually, we can absolutely help you with that stuff. Yep. So client education is huge. It came straight from the mouth of an absolute rock star agent that I know in the Scottsdale area. They want education for their agents. So we are here to help give them that.
Sarah's great. And on top of the education stuff, like collaboration with the people in your market who are also providing education. One thing that happened when COVID hit was we were doing individual classes. There's a bunch of sales reps. We were doing individual classes, and when COVID hit, we were like, why don't we just pool our resources together? So we started doing classes as like 8 reps together, and the attendance was amazing. And people were like, oh, I don't want to miss out on that. I don't want to miss out on that. And when COVID COVID's still here, but when everybody started kind of going back out, we continued to do it because we got such great results and success from collaborating together. And whether that was with other vendor partners or our reps internally, it like energy breeds energy. And I think it's so important that we work together on doing those things. So if it's with us, the MTDs, your sales reps, whatever it is collaborate on those education pieces together.
100%. And I think as we move into this normalizing or shifting market, one thing we have to start focusing on is online reputation. Banks are looking at that. Lenders are looking at that. Our future clients and customers are looking at that. And now we really should take the time to double down. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on online rep, Allie.
Yep, it can, and the screen's not up, just so you know. I can only see your desktop of your computer.
Oh, perfect. I'm glad that I clicked the right one then. Desktop 2. Sorry. You got it now?
No, yes, I got it now.
Okay.
So one of the things, I think we stress this probably more than anything is reviews. Obviously, social proof, right? I call it social proof. What are people saying about you online? What is your message that you're putting out to the world? And are you getting back reviews and information from your clients and your closing people that is who you are and who you're putting out to the world is exactly who you are in that moment, in that service. And I think it's really important that we evaluate our reviews. We respond to every review. We make sure we're actually sending out review requests because the older our generations get, the more you'll notice that millennials and Gen Z, when they start buying and selling homes, which might be a long ways away, they care more about reviews than anything, absolutely anything. They would rather see a good review than get a suggestion from like their parents on who to use. So leverage your raving fans. If you know that you have people on your team and clients that absolutely love you, ask them to leave a review or tag you in their closing, or give me a shout out on the socials. And when you do that, and even include your closers and everything in those, if they're active on social media, I think it's really important that we include the whole team in that space. So if you have a lender involved, if you have, obviously your title company involved and your client involved, include everybody in that shout out, and it just gives you more oomph to that review, into that trust that we're trying to build. The other thing is, are you educating people online? And for me, that was huge. Am I educating on the real estate process? Am I educating on messages? Am I educating on the things that people want to see? So I would a lot of times ask questions from my clients. Hey, what do you want to see? What information do I need to share with you that you can then share with your client? So UGC, which is user-generated content, is huge right now. Are you leveraging the information that your users are putting out to you and saying, hey, I want to learn more about this? And then the last piece, that leverage local influencers. It's such a new thing, but I'm super excited about it.
I love it. I love this.
It's so cool. So there are local influencers in your space. There are people who are getting traction online and are able to influence purchase or service power in your local space. So I'll give you an example. In Arizona, there was a place and it was inside the Phoenix city limits. It was called Arcadia. It was like the place to live. And there was a girl who actually lived in Arcadia, and she was this local influencer. She had 30,000 people following her, and 98% of the people were from Phoenix, Arizona. And she would just leverage, she would promote for local boutiques and all of these different things. And these companies were so smart because they were leveraging her to get in front of people who were in their local market. And I think it's really important that whether we look at attorneys that are influencers, or Are we looking at like city planning that's influencers? There's a lot of influencers in our space that we can really leverage and say, hey, can we do some cross promotion, or can I pay you X amount of dollars, which is usually a lot less, to get in front of local people who are going to use my services. And if you do this as a title company, awesome, so cool, I love it. And if you can share how you did it with your clients, I promise you, nobody else is doing that.
I love that. And it becomes one of those things. So for me, it's like, okay, well, if I, I'm not hip to the kids and I don't know who the local influencers are, for me, if I was in, Austin, Texas, I could search hashtag Austin on Instagram or on TikTok, and the most populated content, the most engaging content would come up, and I will very quickly be able to find out. Here in El Paso, there's this artist, like this female kind of rap artist. Her name's Crystal Poppin. I just started seeing her everywhere. She got like 200,000 followers. She got a record contract recently. I had no clue who she was. She's still one of those people that we're paying, $200 to run an ad that maybe we don't get a lot out of online, or we're paying $200 to post a business card ad or sponsor a hole at a golf tournament. A lot of these micro influencers, which is considered like over 1,000 but under 100,000 followers, those micro influencers, it's like 100, maybe 75, maybe $200 at the most to get them to post something on your behalf, right? And so talk about money well spent, and then showing your real estate agents and your lender clients how you did this and what the result of was it from it. Totally. I think is huge. And again, no one's doing it. I want to do the stuff that nobody else is doing. It's fun to be kind of the first when it comes to some of these strategies. So I
100%
local influence.
I love it. And I almost think about, like, I remember watching that influencer buy a home, and she shouted out her agent, but I'm like, what if she would have shouted out not only her agent, but like, what if it was her agent, her title company, and her loan officer who came together and educated her on getting to that buying power, buying, purchasing platform where everything was smooth sailing and it was like a team activity, and then using that to promote out like a home buying seminar or whatever class it was. I think there's so many ways to leverage a local influencer that we can think outside the box, because sometimes I think in title we're like, how do I market that?
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier for the agent or the attorney or the loan officer to market, but how do I? All you are is the purveyor of information, and then you collaborate and you bring it together.
Yeah, and the more places my company logo is present, the more eyeballs that see my company, the more familiar people are. If we already talked about having them in my office for some education and things like that. I'm just ever present, which is what I want, especially in a market like this. So
totally.
Number 4, let's focus on the things that can absolutely help us stand out from the crowd, right? That is the goal right now. The more eyeballs and the more differentiation that we have, the better. So we're constantly talking, and you can see this, right? Like, I'm not like a total idiot and you can't see the screen. You can see it.
I'd let you know, don't worry.
I'm glad I didn't have anything weird on my
desktop. I was like looking, I was like, oh, what's that?
I've seen people share their desktop and you're like, whoa. So I'm really glad that I didn't have anything strange. So we're telling our realtor clients to engage with video constantly, but are we practicing what we preach as a title company, as a title sales rep, as an escrow officer? And oftentimes the answer is no, because it takes a little bit of time. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't want to be on video, right? But we have to get over that stuff. So when
Sam,
what?
Hold on. You look and sound like that in person, just so you know.
I know, it's a real problem. Like, dang it. I'm just like, all right, see you later. I'm just going to go to stop video now. Here we go.
Well, I think it's like goes back to humanizing the brand, right? We're title, and sometimes it's just not a fun thing to talk about, but like, how can we humanize the people that we're working with in a necessary business, right? People need title. So how do we humanize it? How do we humanize not just our sales reps? How do we humanize our closers and our underwriters and all of those people? I think it's really important that we humanize the people we're working with. As one, it creates know, love, trust, but it also allows people to have a harder time leaving us if they feel like they need to at some point.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, this is how I look, this is how I sound, and this is who I am. And that's what makes the world go round. We're all different, which I love. So
you get what you get.
That's right. So a couple things about engaging with video. Are you texting video? I used to love, like, I talk about respond here. I used to love when an agent would reach out to me for an update on a file, and rather than like fat finger it, right? Like I'm so bad at texting. If my fingers cannot text, and then if I use voice to text, it never makes sense and nobody has any idea what the heck I'm talking about. So oftentimes it was almost faster, but it was also more engaging for me to whip out my phone and reply with a video, right? Hey, Allie, got your text. It looks like the file is getting ready to get clear to close. We're balancing with the lender right now. Hope all is well. Thanks again for the opportunity. They saw my face, they heard my voice, and it stood out more than black words on a white screen. Are you posting video on social media? Or is it just memes and articles about Open Door right now? Or are you posting video? Some of you on this call are absolute rock stars when it comes to video. I see you out there, Paul, right? So is video a part of your closing process, right? Is there a welcome video that goes out, or is it a generic email that says, congratulations, here's what to expect? I love incorporating video in my closing process. It improves the CX for all of our clients and customers, and it makes us stand out from the crowd with our lenders and our realtors that we're working with.
And you never mistake the message.
Right.
There's no mistake. Like sometimes I'll read a post on like Facebook, I'll be like, wow, that was rude. And then I realize if I read it a different way, it doesn't come off rude at all. So like, we're never mistaking what somebody's putting in a video. You know, have you ever like texted something and it's been like, what does that mean? Oh my gosh, that was rude, right? And you're like not sure how to respond. But then they didn't mean that way at all.
I think I think I've actually had breakups based on that in my life before, literally, where it was like, I can't believe he said that, or I can't believe she said that, right? And it's like, so yeah, there's no
crazy
video. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so it's efficient, right? I can say a lot more in a video than I can write in an email in 30 seconds. And you said this on one of your posts recently, where like a consumer remembers 95% of what is contained in a video versus only 10% of black words on a white screen, right? So like if you have a message that you need to be heard, you need to be actually ingested and digested, video is the way to go. So 100%. Again, social media, and some of you, again, shout out to Paul and some of you on the call are so good at this, but staying active on social. I do have a takeaway here. I have 30 ideas for social media content, and then I have 20 ideas for title company social media content. So again, make sure that we know that you're on this call below in the live chat so that we can get that stuff to you. A couple quick things, just as tasks that you could do today. A LinkedIn cover video. If you don't know what that is, head over to my LinkedIn page, Sam Trimble. You'll see it where my profile picture would normally be. It is a 30-second video telling people who I am, what I'm all about, and my philosophy, not only with life, but a little bit with business. It's they can hear my voice, they can see my face. It's more than just a picture. But those are the types of things that once you create that, you can go out and tell people about that, the engagement you get based on that, and show them how to do it. And some of you will probably ask, it's Quick, Q-U-I-K, is the app I use to edit my videos almost all the time, but including my profile video on LinkedIn. And then we're being strategic with our time spent on social. I am the king of doom scrolling and death scrolling. I just start scrolling, 20 minutes later, I wonder where I am and how I got there, right? Like it's bad. So do you have a Facebook list set up so that you can be very intentional with the time you're spending on social? Are they past clients? Are they future clients or prospects? Are they current clients? Are they coworkers, right? Are you lifting them up on social media? But are you strategic with that time? And right now, other than TikTok, which is murdering it right now, Instagram stories are absolutely killing it. Stories and reels, obviously. So are you active in those stories? Are you showing people what's going on behind the scenes? It's a little bit of a behind the scenes look within your business, and people love that kind of stuff. And then the last thing I would say about social is, are you staying active in groups? Your realtor clients are, your lender clients are. Are you there? Are you part of the conversation? It's easy to become kind of the go-to title expert in a real estate group because there's probably not very many people from title there. If there's not a real estate group or a lifestyle group specific to the area that you serve, create one. You now have ownership of that group, but staying active in those, it's pretty easy to see how you can become the expert, but then how deals are done, right? Somebody asks a question, you answer it. Guess where that deal's going? Because the company they were working with maybe couldn't answer that question, which is why they were leveraging the group in the first place. And then
Sam, we just in AZ, we created a females in real estate group online that got together once a month in person. And it didn't matter where in real estate you were. You could be in title, you could be in loans, you could be in, you could be a realtor, you could be a home inspector, appraiser, whatever it is. As long as you were a female, you were there, right? And online, it was referrals back and forth, or, hey, does anybody have a buyer for this? Or, hey, what do you do in this situation? And all of these people were from different brokerages, different companies, and it was just a collaboration, and it was so cool to see it come together. And then on top of it, the actual like events, 30, 40, 50 females that come out and actually like empower each other with the information that they're sharing and helping back and forth. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it literally helped every single person in that group, whether or not they were competitors or not. It was the coolest thing.
That's so cool. I just had a similar conversation with a title agent in Orange, New Jersey the other day about empowering women. It's a female-owned business. It's all female employees. They're total rock stars. They've been killing it for years, and they're thinking about doing something like that. So I got to connect you with them.
So you could do anything though. You could do runners in real estate, or like, I mean, minority-owned businesses. You could do Spanish speaking. Like, there's so many different things. Like, tennis stars, or in Arizona, there was like a bunch of realtors that would get together all the time, and they were all wakeboarders. And then there were title people that would wakeboard, and loan lenders. Like, it's just so weird. It's like its own little niche and demographic. They build a relationship, and now they're their biggest raving fans back and forth. So
I love it. I love it. So a couple things. We always talk about how at WFG, we will let you look under the hood. Anything that we do, you are welcome to it. And so here's two great examples of how to stand out from the crowd, but things that WFG directs do on the West Coast. So the first is the Wfg Connect Form. The idea behind this is you either have a client that maybe you need to smooth things over with a little bit, or maybe it's a new client that you just had the first opportunity to work with. What you find is if they only have one relationship with your company, if something ever goes wrong, there's only one relationship there. So there's a chance they walk away. If they have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 relationships, there's a lot more, I hate to call it hooks, but there's more hooks in that relationship to prevent losing that client or customer. So the WFG Connect form is really cool when it comes to that. It's a simple form. And again, this is a takeaway. Don't forget to put your email and let us know that you're here below in the live chat. But it's a simple form that basically requests somebody else. It could be the owner of your company. It could be a manager or the president. It could be a processor or a receptionist, whoever it might be. It requests that they reach out to this person. Maybe it's a text message, maybe it's a phone call or an email just saying, hey, Allie, I saw that we had a contract come in with your name on it. We are so excited to work with you. Thanks for the opportunity. Know that if anything comes up along the way, I'm here for you as well. They now have another relationship within your company. So that WFG Connect form is really important. And frankly, I've seen it used and it's pretty impactful. If I'm a real estate agent and I give my first order to a company, or maybe I kind of had something go wrong with the deal that we'd had and I'm a little more loyal, and I get a phone call or a text or an email from the president or the owner of that company that maybe I've never even met before. Does that make me feel like I matter, like my business is important to you? In a perfect world, we wouldn't even need a form for this, but we're all so busy and there's so much going on. This is a way to systematize great customer experience, right? Which if we don't systematize it, it won't happen. So 1, the WFG Connect form, 2, the WFG promise, right? So realtors are so used to giving their clients and customers. I was a Century 21 agent back in the day, right? I had the seller service pledge, and it was 21 things that I was going to do for each and every one of my sellers, right? I signed it, my clients signed it, and it took me to task on all the great things I was going to do for that listing client. But we don't do that as much in the title space, right? Realtors are used to doing that. The buyers and sellers are used to getting that from their lenders and realtors. Realtors are used to getting that from their lender partners, but we don't do it as much. So the WFG promise form is about telling them everything we're going to do to make sure they have a great experience. And this is another takeaway. Take it, swipe it, steal it, put your logo on it. We're happy to do that, right? We're happy to share that stuff. But part of that is mid-transaction feedback, right? We always ask our clients how we did. We don't ask them how we're doing, right? So when was the last time you picked up the phone in the middle of a transaction and called your realtor client and said, hey, Allie, I'm just curious how things were going. I know we're working that contract on 2028 Bob Hope right now. Is there anything you'd like to see change, or is there anything I can do? Just that simple question is changing the narrative. Whoever they're doing business with now didn't ask them that. I can almost guarantee it. So just by simply asking that question in the middle of the conversation, in the middle of the transaction, you're going to see a different reaction from them.
And they'll give you feedback.
They
one of my top clients, we moved him to a different, in Arizona, we had escrow officers that we had people work with, but we moved him to a different escrow officer. And it was stressful for me because he had been with that escrow officer for 5 years. So moving to a different one based on his current needs was stressful. So we had to do a lot of prep internally, but it was really calling and saying, hey, I know we're inside of a couple of contracts. How are things going? Like, where are we missing the mark? Where are we doing good? Like, what do we need to do? And he gave feedback. He actually said, I don't need to hear from her as much.
Wow.
Because it was kind of annoying to him, right? He was like, I love the feedback and the updates, but wow, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's something she was amazing at, but to him, that wasn't something necessary. He trusted the fact that she knew how to do her job. So just reducing the amount of updates, especially for like, you got to meet people where they're at and you got to know what to do. And I think this, how are we doing, is such an impactful thing, because if you're going to get future business from these people, you gotta do it as right as possible the first time, so that way they do come back.
Yeah. And I think so the first thing is, I know for me personally, I'm sure nobody else is like this for sure. It's only me, I'm sure. But every once in a while, I would ask for that feedback and I would almost get defensive because it was feedback that I didn't necessarily want to hear. Or maybe it was something I'd been working really hard on, a notification system. And then they were like, hey, dude, too many notifications. And but so when I took a step back and I realized, take what they're saying and actually do it. And oh my gosh, they see you bob and weave and make a change based on their feedback. They feel heard, which is, as human beings, all we want to do is feel heard, right? Most bad reviews, it's because people just wanted to be heard, right? So I think it's an awesome strategy. I love that we have some kind of forms to go along with that. And then the last thing is this, right? The VIP club. This is something that Wendy Lunt, I'll give a shout out to Dubs. She created this on the West Coast in her market in Oregon and Washington. And the idea was this: we don't have a loyal customer on the first transaction, right? It's the first transaction we get. They're not loyal to us. They're still testing the waters. They're not even loyal on the second or third. But what we found statistically is, if you can get to 5 transactions with a client or customer, with a realtor or a lender partner, you now have a loyal client, right? It's getting to that 5th one. So often we get the first or the second and we never quite get to that number 5. So we actually have an onboarding strategy for clients that includes the little touch points, little value adds, connecting them with an MTD or your own little micro MTD that we'd be glad to help train and things like that, to really make sure you get from 1 to 5, which is now turning them into a loyalist, which is what we want in a shifting market. So that's going to be another one of the takeaways that we're going to give you today. Man, this thing is like jam-packed with actionable things.
No.
I'm excited.
I love it. And I love the idea of a micro MTD. Like, is that somebody who's shorter than I am? Because I like 4'11". Like, are they tiny little people? I'm just kidding. But I think that's so important. Like, why not? Like, let's teach you what we're doing, and you guys be the source of the source, and we'll just continue giving you information over time and be that valuable resource. So 100%, that's how you stand out. Absolutely.
So with that takes us to number 5. And this is how to network like a boss. And I think this is probably one of the most, if not the most valuable. So Allie, let's walk through it.
I agree. I actually think this should have been number 1, right? But I think we remember things at the beginning and at the end of presentations. So I actually think it's perfectly at number 5. But when I got into title, I realized that these that the other reps, they were just networking with realtors and agents and people in that like real estate space, and they weren't creating connections outside of that area, right? They weren't doing that. And I realized there was so much opportunity in networking and building this community across the actual like whole city and being the connector of people. I got to a point where I was one of the title people inside of a brokerage of 300 plus agents, and they had their own like Facebook group for their brokerage. And the trending hashtag was hashtag Ask Allie, because anytime somebody had a question or needed a referral, I was always the one that said, hey, you need to talk to this person. They're amazing. I've used them for such, and such, and they're phenomenal. They'll always do you right. And not only in like social spaces, but actually in networking spaces. I think network doesn't do justice to what needs to happen. It's connector. You need to be the connector of people. You'll always be the source. You will always be the resource And, you know, I had something tragic happen to a friend of mine in Arizona yesterday, and I spent the better part of 3 hours connecting people to resources that they could, you know, they could get into and get help, even as I'm living in Ohio now. And I think it's so important that you guys be a part of real estate events, whether that being a part of association, creating your own events, collaborating with other vendors, being a part of clubs that have to do with real estate and not have to do with real estate. One of the big things that I always attended was city planning, city development type things, because then I knew what was going on. Hey, did you see that? You know, hey, Scottsdale, or hey, Scottsdale, like expert, did you see that this such and such thing is happening in Scottsdale? And normally they had no idea.
Well, you're on that topic. I was until like about a year ago, I was the chair for the El Paso City Planning Commission. And so, you know, how would a guy like me get invited to do that? Are you kidding me? Oftentimes, so those are appointed by city council or aldermen, depending what you call them in your area. Oftentimes they're looking for people to volunteer. So I knew they were looking for someone to fill a role. And I reached out and I said, hey, I'm in the title business. I know a little bit about some of the things that you're going to be discussing. I'd be honored to serve. I ended up serving on that board for 3.5 years. And that's the highest board at the city under city council, right? And they're looking for people that are willing to do that. So if you have interest in those things, reach out to city council people and say, hey, what board seats do you have available right now? And oftentimes you'd be amazed at Board of Adjustments. I was on the Central Appraisal District Board, which don't do that one. Everyone just hates you. Stay. The hatred I received. But city council people, what board seats are available, and they'll tell you, and they'll be grateful for the service as well.
Totally. So the city planning meetings that I went to, they would give deliverables. They would actually give like takeaway things of like what was coming to the city, what was expected, what growth was taking place, all of it stuff. So I would hoard them at the end of these meetings, and then I would take them to my like specialty area type people. And they were like, this is awesome. This is information that I can send out to my database, that I can share on socials. Like it was just, and I didn't do anything. I literally just went to a meeting. I grabbed a bunch of stuff and I delivered it to him. And I was like, hey, I thought you would like this because you specialize in such and such area. So it's such a big deal. It was so cool. It was so good. But that's the thing is like, you got to leverage other people's resources. You got to leverage other people's time. It's so important because you cannot do it all. I promise you, when you try, you will fail to do everything. You got to be good at leveraging other things. One of the things that actually got me in front of a ton of clients, especially in like more of a buyer's market or even a normalized market, was home tours. So getting people together, getting people in houses, getting eyeballs on homes that might be sitting a long time. Home tours were such a wonderful time, and it gave me face time with people that I knew I could get business from. Like, how often do you have 2 hours in front of an agent? Usually it's like 30 minutes, or they're on the go, or they're on their phone. But home tours allowed me to get a lot of face time. And then doing events, CE classes, headshot class, or headshot events, in feature businesses, and then philanthropy. We did a ton of philanthropy, and it involved so many people from across the way. It got attention from different news sources. It obviously gave back to the community. And I think, honestly, I don't think title companies are doing enough to give back to the communities that they serve. We are a part of real estate. And if you guys can be the facilitators of that with your clients and your communities, I think it's such a huge deal to give back and connect people together in amazing ways. So
I love what you just said about the tours too. Going back to that, one of the things that I made sure was when I found information on that tours, on realtor tours, they call them here, or broker open houses. Mm-hmm. If that listing was kind of predetermined that it was closing with one of our escrow officers, you know, maybe somebody let us peek at the MLS. Like, I don't know how that happens, but somehow we see it sometimes. I would make sure that escrow officer knew. And that escrow officer would be asked, hey, today, would you mind popping by that to show some appreciation because it's coming your direction? So keeping that involvement when they give a listing to another company, that's not happening, right? So it is happening when they gave us a listing. So something to think about. I love this last.
Go ahead. We created our own home tour because the associations in Arizona all kind of hosted their home tours in specific areas. And there was an unmet need in certain places in the city where nobody was doing a home tour, and they were phenomenal homes. I mean, homes range between 300,000 to 1 million, and there was no home tours doing it. So we were like, you know what, let's make a home tour in this area. And we pulled together, we had two different title companies that hosted and kind of flip-flop tours. And then we had 2 lenders, and we had an actual, like a broker that kind of hosted. So that way we would have access to homes if somebody had an emergency or whatever it was. But it was so cool because we were able to kind of create what we wanted to create out of that tour. We were able to do wonderful things. And we actually asked for feedback from agents, because agents a lot of times hate home tours because of how they're run. So we consistently asked for feedback on the home tour to make sure that we were serving the community that so needed to see these homes.
I love it. I love it. And I just love this last bullet that you put here. A real connector is always thinking about how to help their network, right? And we have somebody in-house, an underwriter up in the Midwest, who is constantly saying, hey, even if this deal isn't ours and you have a question, give me a call and let me know. I'm glad to just help because I want to help. And so when you're seen as the person that wants to help, regardless of what it is, people like to do business with people that care about their community and give back. So philanthropy should be a big part of that, but also just lifting up others and giving a helping hand. So I love that. At the end of the day, thank you and gratitude makes all the difference. The next realtor that brings you a deal through that door, whether it's the 5th one they've done this month or the first one in 5 years, show them some gratitude. Drop a note in the mail, make them feel special, send them some swag. I'm still a realtor. Realtors love swag. We love free stuff, right? But
create a video.
Teach them a video thanking them. I don't know why we're doing this, but I
don't know either.
So do something, right? Just do something, because thank you makes all the difference. Allie, you're amazing. I'm so honored to work alongside you. You are a wealth of knowledge, and you are just a total rock star. So thanks for being a part of this with me today.
For having me. Hey, and teamwork makes the dream work. We are your team. So call us when you need us, and call us when you don't need us. We'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. So here's our quick QR, scan them. You can connect with us on social, download our information. If you have questions about any of this stuff, reach out to your sales rep, have them connect you with your MTD. We are a lean and mean team of 6 all over this country right now, and we are all talented and capable. I am by far the least talented and least capable of the group. I'm thankful to be a part of it, but leverage your MTDs, lean on us. We are all together in this shifting market, and I truly believe the best is yet to come. So thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. We appreciate you. Shout out to all the title nerds, and we'll see you all.
Hey, nerds.
All right, later, Allie.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Sam.